for Black America, it's just another year. You knew the disrespect by your elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere.
Yo, what's up, IG? We up. Facebook, what's good?
There we go.
Oh,
Let's go.
That's the notification. Yeah, the notification. If you don't know who we're listening to, this is Smino off his Blkswn album. This is Edgar Allan Poe'd. Edgar Allan Poe'd up, actually. Dope little track. Hope you guys are enjoying it.
Green plant, nigga, about it. Soon as I get it, deposit. Loud man, is from Chicago, right?
Yeah, he's Chicago.
Gucci on my boss.
See, not every Chicago rapper is killing everybody in every song. Like, contrary to popular belief, every Chicago rapper don't kill everybody in every song. Sometimes I just rap about life, like relationships and just dating stuff.
Yeah.
This is a vibe right here. This is a vibe.
We back, y'all. Guess who Bizak? Yeah. It's a vibe, man. Like, I be trying to put people on. Like, everybody think every Chicago rapper gotta kill everybody. You don't gotta be listen,
shout your city out.
Yeah, shout your city. If you from Chicago, shout yourself out.
My Browns are playing right now, even though I'm not really a Browns fan because they've lost all of my goals. Like, they've gone 18 years without being in the playoffs, so I can't say I'm really a fan, but good luck tonight.
Yeah, good luck. I hope they win.
I've never known the Browns to win. Like, I've never experienced it.
No, and you won't experience it now. The Browns, I can't root for the Browns, even though the Ravens technically are the old Browns.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. Talk their history.
I just want to represent for a second. I just want everybody to understand what time it is this evening.
Shout out Richard Altar. I know he's also a big fan of the Ravens. Shout out Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Them boys took care of business tonight.
They did.
They did. Yo, Lamar was running. He was moving, but he was a man on a mission.
Lamar is an amazing black man.
Yeah.
He's an amazing black man.
He definitely did his thing.
I just don't think he should speak a whole lot all the time.
Yeah, he's not the most. Listen, he's no Barack Obama.
He is not. He is not going to be this weekend.
Definitely ain't that.
No. But nonetheless, he's inspiring.
Funny, like, what is he talking about? Like, baby, I mean, like, you're a football player. And actually, I'll take that back. Nothing against football players. If you think about, well, Colin Kaepernick wasn't the best speaker either. But you know who was decent? Richard Sherman.
That's
Richard Sherman. Guys like him. Yeah. Great speaker. So
Eddie George was pretty good.
Yeah, Eddie George. And a lot of those people that go on to be like commentators and all that.
No. Let's go. That is a very different kind of woman. Now I get down when it comes to sports.
Yes, you do. Now you know
out of all the sports, as we know, it ain't football. That's my favorite.
Come on, let's talk about the basketball. Yeah, let's talk about basketball.
What's up?
Yeah.
So I gotta play this real quick. It's not one of my listed songs tonight.
Okay, but I'm the one that recommended it.
But yeah, she right. You know what I'm saying?
Back. 2021.
We are back. It's 2021. It's the Nitty Gritty Show. Yeah. Man, we about to start a cypher. Yo, Wesley Berry, what's good? Rep your city. Let's go, Georgia. Georgia in the building.
Hey, Stacy.
Stacy in the building. Yo, Lisa in the building. We got our man Paul in the building.
Yeah.
Hey, Young Jason Costa with the Nitty Gritty Show. You know we about to go up with the. Nah, I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, listen.
I had y'all gas.
I'm like, yo, you got bars. I'm like, hey, yo, let's go.
You know what I'm saying? I had y'all gas.
With the flow.
I be flowing sometimes, but it was about to happen tonight. I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, bro, we doing that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, also, gotta shout out our sponsors. So yeah, the Nitty Gritty Show. We getting sponsored in 2021.
Let's go.
First sponsor of the year, Out of Control Bullies LLC. Right?
You got a business.
Yeah, so if you got a business, hit us up and we'll sponsor you the same way that Out of Control Bullies is being sponsored. They actually went ahead and sponsored us for the whole month of January, y'all. Whole month of January. So we'll be shouting out every live show and you'll see advertisements on our page supporting Out of Control Bullies. They were started by Richard and Nathaniel Altar. If you're looking for a pit, and I'm talking about they got like those basically like those purebreds. They got what they call designer pit bulls, Merles, red nose, blue nose, like blue, all that. Yeah, go holler at
Let's go.
We got these shirts, they got merch, they got, they got the face mask, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Holler at Out of Control Bullies.
That's big. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Stacey Lynn said Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
That's a big deal.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, right, so we excited. If you don't know, we got Paul in the building.
Yeah.
Go check out the Love Seat on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Let's go.
Him and his wife Nikki. They be getting down to the get down, y'all. When it comes to relationships and just that everyday stuff, like who gonna wash the dishes, who don't, how to handle conflict. I'm talking about they talk about it all. How to deal with the family during the pandemic. I mean, y'all need to holler at Paul and Nikki on the Love Seat. Love having them in here. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna do that.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Let's go over some current news real quick. Got a little bit of current news to cover. So I had to do it in my DC vernacular. Current news.
Current.
Oh, Sandra, what's good? I see we got Sandra on here. That's what's up. Shout out Baltimore.
Let's go.
Hey to the soon-to-be DeCostas.
We about to be the DeCostas. Listen, I received that. I received all of that. Obviously right now it's Wild Card Weekend. Shout out to the Ravens, obviously.
That's right.
Shout out to the Rams that beat the Seahawks.
And good luck to the Browns.
Good luck to the Browns. The Bills beat the Colts. Ravens beat the Titans. I don't know what happened with that other game. I don't know who won that.
No, the Saints. The Saints game.
The Saints. Do you know who won or was there a winner yet? Okay. So sorry, I didn't have an update on the Saints, but I didn't know what the outcome was of that yet. So sorry y'all if you're a Saints fan. I just didn't have an update to update you on, okay? Also, Air Jerome, sad news, Air Jerome Dickey passed away. That's like one of the first celebrity deaths of the year, I guess. I was sad. I liked a lot of his books. He's my favorite fictional author, member of Alpha Phi Alpha, so there goes another Alpha, but he's part of that Omega chapter now, so shout out to him. Current news, we're not going to act like Wednesday didn't happen. That's going to be the focus point of this show. But multiple perpetrators have recently been arrested for the storming of the Capitol. And these perpetrators, let's be honest, they did not upset patriots. They are terrorists.
That's a
domestic terrorists, and they should be called nothing other than that. But what's been included in that list of people arrested, the man who was dressed like a Viking, he was a fireman from Florida. He's been arrested. And then also there was a West Virginia state representative there. He's been arrested.
Wow.
The classic picture of the gentleman who had his foot up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, he was also arrested recently. And there was another gentleman who tried to sell that podium on Facebook Marketplace for $275.
I saw it.
I did not know that.
I saw it. I was like, wait a minute.
All right. Wait till we start getting to the.
No, let's go ahead and get into it. So the thing is, though, it's one thing to get arrested, but we need to make sure there are charges, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know if they were black,
convictions.
If they were black, and I think they said it's a federal offense, it's up to 10 years.
It's a federal offense.
Yes.
So if they were
black, shout out to Seahawks.
If they were black, you already know what it would have been.
If they were black, they would have emptied the clip from the beginning. And I think that it's important. It's important to really get down to why people are angry about it, and why, if you're not angry, why you should be angry about it. Because this is just another instance of discrimination on such a deep level, like on so many different levels. You do not break into the capital of the United States of America, first of all, without help. Now we can keep it a bean if we really want to get to that point. But you don't break. How long y'all been in DC?
Shoot, I moved back to the area back in 2011.
7 years.
2011. Come on, bro. You don't break into the capital of the United States without help.
Nah.
And let's be clear. If you look at a lot of the footage that's been circulating through the internet, they were let in. They were let in.
Yeah, I saw.
We need to stop saying they broke in.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? Domestic terrorist storm attack the Capitol, right? Now, just to be fair, we got to report both sides, right? Now, it's stupid, but I got to tell the whole thing. I don't create the news, I just report.
Come on, sir.
A lot of them thought they were leading a revolution. Obviously, there's been a very popular meme of the young lady who got maced. Elizabeth, she was maced.
I got maced. But where are you from? I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Why did you come up here? Because it's a revolution.
I wanted to be here for the revolution. And so, so people are wondering like, well, there must be something to it. They went to the Capitol. Well, people forget 2 hours before this, Trump had a whole speech, an hour-long speech, where he provoked many of these people.
Yes.
He literally led them, said, you know, we should march down to the Capitol, walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we need to let them know how we feel about them stealing our country for us, because you know it's really bad. You know, they really stole our country from us. It was so horrible. It was a landslide victory, right? You know, there's a little hints, right? So no, he led that charge. He literally incited a terrorist attack on federal grounds, right? Elisa said, now that they are Jenny Thomas, Clarence Thomas' wife, paid for some of the buses that shipped the terrorists in. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about various people who, but that's like a conspiracy theory to saying that the Democrats helped start it, and then I guess they're trying to say the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was somehow behind it as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You know, when this was going on, when this was happening live, I was at work, and I came downstairs. And was talking to my wife, and she like, hey, do you see this? And I'm looking at the thing, and what shocked me more than anything was that I don't know, and I thought about asking y'all this. I saw a lot of different memes online, and Tamika Mallory posted something about just encouraging black people to let white people have their tantrum.
She did.
And let's sit this one out.
Yeah.
This is not our fight.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in y'all's take on that sentiment. You know, there are. I mean, I stopped short of retweeting it, but I thought about it for a second. I'm like, you know what? Let y'all have y'all tantrum. Let y'all see what America's real problem is.
Good.
Let's let y'all have this moment. But what do y'all think about that? The sentiment expressed in that meme.
You wanna go? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. So I agree with her. It's almost like a callback to action of Martin Luther King and SNCC and a lot of these organizations back in the 60s.
Okay.
When they were so pressed about non-violent protests.
Gotcha.
It wasn't because we wanted to be punks or we wanted to get spit on and food thrown in our faces. The idea was that the media was biased back then, right? Back then you only had 3 to maybe 5 channels. And then we already know that if we were to respond, the only thing the media would have definitely showed back then, there would have been no alternate news source to show. Otherwise, they would have just shown us beating up a cop or fighting back in response to already being harassed for hours. Right? So the thing was, don't do anything. So when we cross the Peters Bridge, no matter what we do, the only thing the media will be able to show is the dogs, the fire hoses and everything being poured on us, or dogs being sicked on us. So that way, without a shadow of a doubt, these black people are innocent. Right? And I think Tamika Mallory's post on that is somewhat similar. If we had gone down there in protection of the Capitol, because black people are patriots. Let me not forget to remind you, the first person to die for this country was Crispus Attucks, a black man, right? During the Boston Tea Party, or what became the Boston Massacre. So, first person to die. So with that, black people are also patriots. And if we had went down there thinking, yo, this ain't cool, blah, 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 y'all need to calm down, chill out, then all they would have shown was us starting fights with people. That's how the media would have portrayed it. And then it would have been like, oh yeah, they only got rowdy because the Black Lives Matter people came down there. So no, it was best we sit this out. So all that chaos, they can have it and own it all by themselves. Right? And that way, all you can do when you bring us up, and we'll talk about this more as the show go on, only thing you can then bring up is the contrast to how they were treated versus how we were treated. You understand? I think that was part of her sentiment. I'm not Tamika Mallory. I can't totally speak for her. But to me, I feel like that was the essence of the sentiment of why she was saying we need to send that out. And it's not our fight. You know, Trump had said to Black Lives Matter protesters that when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
That's right.
He also put out a mandate that there will be no toleration for the destruction of federal property, federal monuments, and such like. And there will be heavy results for doing so with a minimum of 10 years imprisonment. That's what he said. So by us not being involved and allowing the police and the people in place to deal with that, now it's like, well, show and prove, Mr. Patriot. If you really feel that way, what are you going to do about these folks who literally ran up on federal property? And I got more to say about that.
Yes, sir.
But I will say it was interesting. And then I think the thing that I'm also like confused by is a lot of people that were there, they actually thought President Trump was there with them.
That's why
they thought he was leading.
Yes.
They thought he was like on some Reverend Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson type stuff, where he's at the front of the line singing "We Will Overcome," and they thought he was marching down.
Yes.
And the fact that they thought that the election was stolen, you have lost this election almost 40 times now through the courts, various injunctions you filed. Even Mitch McConnell has pulled his support. He said, like, listen, I agree with him going through the courts, the legal process, even though it was stupid then. But now it's like, it's beyond.
Right.
And people really think they've had their country stolen from them in a just election.
See, okay, so this is where I was wondering whether or not I was going to have an opportunity to share this. I was having a conversation with a person who I follow now. I've been in school with this person from K4 to 12th grade.
Oh, okay.
And he is a Trump supporter. He's a white man and he's a Trump supporter.
Okay.
I felt comfortable with him asking him, bro, what are y'all angry about? Like, I'm not trying to argue with you. I just want to know. Because I don't see you as a Trump supporter first. I see you as a human. And I've always thought that in order for us to properly heal as a country, we have to get out of this divisive rhetoric. Somebody's got to be the person to stop it, right? And let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. You know what I mean? So I'm having a conversation with this young man, and he says to me, because we are angry. I said, why? And he went into, I meant to memorize it so I could speak about it intelligently, but essentially talked about voter fraud, talked about all these things that the media has told us that is Trump's agenda. And then he simply asked me the question, why haven't these things been formally investigated? And because we are not being told that they've been investigated and they found nothing, what we are being told is, shut up, let's move on. We feel angry and we feel suppressed and we feel like nobody's listening. And I said to him, I get you. If that's how you feel, I understand that you are angry, and I'm going to tell you why I understand that you're angry, because I am black. And because I am black, that is my everyday.
Yeah.
That is the existence under which I live. James Baldwin said to be black in America is to be in a rage almost all the time.
Yep.
You know, and so as he and I were able to come, now we don't agree. He still supports Trump, I still do not. But what I did accomplish in that moment was I saw him as a human being first, right? And I can say, okay, if that's the way you feel, then I can understand why you're angry. And I'm able to at that same time go, but listen to my experience as a black man. I'm the last black man he's ever been in contact with.
Yeah, because you know, if that's how you feel, then how can you dismiss all the Black Lives Matter protests?
Exactly.
Right? So back to the point. Actually, we had a really good comment here from our Facebook audience, Wesley Berry. Shout out Wesley. Shout out Nate Altar, one of the founders of Out of Control Bullies. He's live with us right now. Yeah. But Wesley said Trump said he was going out there with them.
Correct.
And then he turned around and then he went right back to the White House. That was actually one of my notes, so thank you. And then he said, damn, that sounds a lot like the black experience. Talk about what your white friend said about how he felt like he's not being heard. And the thing is, the information has been put out there as far as the results of what he felt like is not being heard.
Absolutely.
But there is no resolution to a lot of the things that black people experience.
No.
Well, the whole point about not being heard, I think that's it's funny because black people have been telling you since the very beginning of time that there's discrimination, there are systems set in place that we can't benefit from, that there's racism, and every time we're always dismissed of not being able to pull ourselves by the bootstraps, and that we're just ghetto, and that we got too many baby mamas running around with kids, and yada yada yada. So then what happened when they went down to the Capitol building for the very first time, white people who live in this bubble, i.e. here in DC, started to realize, oh my word, there is a subset of white people that are ghetto. Oh my word!
This is a real show.
There is a subset
Dynasty is a real show
of white people that are angry and delusional and ignorant. Oh my God! I can't believe that this kind of racism and this kind of ignorance is alive and well in 2020. And black folks sitting back, like Tamika Morley said, we told y'all this from day one, and you didn't want to listen.
Yeah. Like there was
my final point is that now you have white people. It don't matter where you in on the social economic spectrum. You've now got to face the reality that racism, classism, ignorance is now looking you dead in the face, and you can no longer be dismissive.
That's a fact.
You can no longer be dismissive now, because I was like, dang, my own race is kind of effed up.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, to your point, what we have to, and the question becomes, what is our response? You know what I'm saying? What is our response? You can no longer, in my opinion, you should no longer be allowed to ignore the black experience.
There you go.
Right? Donald Trump had fired, had the bullet, but the media is the gun. You know, there's a lot of responsibility to go around here. Yeah. And what I do not appreciate and what I will not allow to happen is for all of these people to now begin to throw rocks and hide their hands. All this time you have enabled, you have retweeted.
Yes.
Donald Trump has been at the top of my news feed on the Today program, NBC, every single morning for the past 4 years. What you can't do now is act like you didn't give him the vehicle to get his message out there.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we have to hold those mediums accountable.
Yeah.
We have to do it because they don't see this again. What is the value of the black experience? You're talking about that you all of a sudden it's a crime because you don't feel heard. White privilege.
Yep.
All of a sudden, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, it is now not being heard and being marginalized as a crime, right? And this is one of the reasons, and I'm gonna stop talking, but this is one of the reasons why I love y'all's show. Real talk, and I have said that to y'all and away from y'all, because what y'all do is necessary. Because there's accountability here, not just for the black community, but for media at large. There's accountability in this room for the media at large, and if we do not continue to support stuff like this, that is how the black experience continues to be allowed to be marginalized.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for saying that. We appreciate that, but. And I don't even want to go deep down this road, but even with the black experience in this show, as we know, negativity sells. That's why Donald Trump is at the top of news.
But it sells because we buy it.
Because it sells. If he was an upstanding man like Obama, or, you know, if this show was, you know, we are upstanding, but if I was to be on here talking about how I'm going to twerk it and pop it for one and argue, I guarantee we would have a lot of more viewers. They'd be like, oh, Cat, them ratchet. That's what sells. But the moment that you actually lead with grace, you lead with love, you lead with dignity, it's like you just some cornball and I can disrespect you. And I think what I am learning is that we have to stop being so scared. I feel like it's been this.
You get ready to go.
It's been this bubble that I think even our parents of, you know, sit up when you go to a restaurant. You don't want white folks looking at you like that. Don't say that publicly. Don't say that on the camera. But I think we're realizing, no, I have a voice and I should be able to tell you what you just said to me will not be tolerated. It was disrespectful. I don't like it. And I think that when you can tell somebody, speak truth to power about how you feel in the moment and how you're being treated, I think that will help us move the needle forward. Because a lot of times we sit back kind of scared and we don't really say what the problem is, because we want to be upstanding people. We want to be Christian, right? We want to be God. You know, where in the Bible do you see God being meek and mild and all just anything can happen? God was letting people know He was going to the synagogue, whipping people, turning over tables.
The context is important, and Juan, you have said this on several occasions. You know, the definition that we have been handed, we now have to challenge. And I think that's what's happening. That's what you're describing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I recently learned the term. Y'all, I'm 38 years old. Anybody that's watching, I'm 38 years old. Right? I'm technically not a millennial, I don't think. But I think I've learned something about this term called code switching.
Oh, yes.
I never knew what that was. But it was something that I do naturally. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I do naturally. And it's something that I now am actively correcting. But it is just the way that I've become. And again, I appreciate y'all. And I appreciate anybody that challenges that norm. Nah, Slim, I don't have to speak a certain way. Stuart Scott once said, when he was talking about his career on ESPN, he said, somebody at ESPN told him, unless he learned to speak the King's English, he was never going to be able to get hired.
Wow.
Speak the King's English. Right?
Yeah.
Who is the king?
Yeah, I mean.
And what kind of English? We got New York, we got the Southern, we got Cali, like. you got even in Britain, they have their own, colloquialisms and certain words. What makes your definition of the King's English the standard?
And we've allowed these definitions to stand. I'm sorry, Juan. We've allowed these definitions to stand, and it's time to challenge that narrative.
Yeah, no, we have to. Also, because we got to talk about this, because there's so much context to what happens, and what does that mean to Americans as a whole, right?
Talk, sir.
Even how the Capitol Police responded.
Yes.
Right? So let's go over some of these facts. One, this is the same Capitol Police.
Talk, sir.
Where we seen the video where they opened the barricades to allow these people in that caused all this ruckus and chaos to where they killed Officer Sicknick and how they assaulted and bruised so many officers. There was a portion of officers that opened up the barricades and say, well, y'all come on in. Y'all come on in. Now, these are the same people that, since I've lived here, will yell and borderline cuss you out 3 blocks away from the east side of the Capitol that you're not allowed to be on.
That's right.
Right? Or, I'm sorry, you're not supposed to be on the west side. The east side is where you can protest. They will cuss you out and say, hey, move, move, move. And in 2013, there was a woman named Miriam Carey.
Talk, sir.
With her child in the back car who ran into a barrier. They shot her, killed her by accident, and they killed her dead. Keep in mind, Miriam Carey had a history of mental illness.
Yes.
But no one said, well, what's wrong? Is she okay? All they know is she struck a barrier. That's federal property, and they executed their right to execute her.
They executed
with her child in the back.
That's right.
There was our very own newly elected Reverend Raphael Warnock of Georgia, a whole senator, Alpha Phi Alpha, first black senator in Georgia. You know they about that black first, right? But even he, back in 2017, was arrested for praying, not protesting with a banner, not yelling, not causing any kind of disturbance, not forcing his way in, not carrying a Confederate flag, not carrying a weapon on him.
Walked through the thing, sir.
Walked in and prayed in the rotunda.
Right.
He was arrested. Right? Same Capitol Police attacked peaceful protesters during multiple Black Lives Matter protests.
That's right.
Right? The truth is, during his presidency, Donald Trump has done nothing to actually improve the lives of his base.
No.
Right?
No.
So they're frustrated for nothing.
Right.
And then the Capitol Police and all police departments need to take notice. How are you treating black people who are peacefully working? Look at the way, the evidence is there. Joe Scarborough dropped the F-bomb on Morning Joe, talking about how it was ridiculous that we know if these people were Muslim, we know if they were black, whatever, it would have been a bloodbath in the Capitol.
Facts.
But yet still, these people, same people that got upset with Colin Kaepernick, because he wanted to peacefully protest, the same people that told LeBron James to shut up and dribble, the same people that had all this angst and energy for the disrespect of the flag, went to the Capitol, took down the American flag, and replaced it with, not the Confederate flag even, the 2020 Trump flag.
That's right.
Because they said they want their country back.
That's right.
What country are you referring to? Because your country is represented by those 50 stars and those bars and those white and red stripes. That's your country's flag.
Right.
But you replace it with Trump 2020. You replace it, you march up and down with a Confederate flag. That lets you know that these flags are not important to you. They're interchangeable with one thing that matters.
There you go.
White privilege.
That's right, sir.
Well, we got a couple of comments, and
got some comments.
And I do have a question.
Yeah, you got
how does one even become that obtuse in their ignorance?
Amen to that.
How do you become that way?
Because you've been allowed to do that. It goes back
your
to
privilege has allowed you to do
it. And it goes back to what you all were saying just a second ago. The way they say it is we want to take our country back. Right?
Yeah. I had to laugh.
Take our country back.
You first of all, you're mad about the votes. You're not mad at the fact that half of you are still on welfare. Because 70%.
Once again, Donald Trump has not passed one piece of single legislation that has improved the lives of those who have voted for him. Name me one law. I challenge anybody right now, this day. My bad. Sorry. I challenge anybody. Give me one law that has improved the lives. His tax laws are going to actually hurt Americans at a low poor bracket. Now, he's done some stuff as far as signing the protection of natural birth and things towards abortion. But once again, tell me how we have improved the lives of his base. You haven't.
Take comments, IG and Facebook.
Yeah, I gotta go to some comments. Before I take the comments, let me pay some bills. Once again, shout out to Out of Control Bullies LLC, who has sponsored us this month.
Walk through it, sir.
Shout out to Nate Altar. I see you in the comments, my brother. Alright? If y'all need a shirt, or if you want to get yourself a pit bull for your loved one, your kids, go holler at Out of Control Bullies. You can see them at Out of Control Bullies on Facebook or at Out of Control Bullies on Instagram. Alright?
And that's OUTTA.
Yeah, and that's OUTTA Control Bullies. Alright? Go holler at them. Go holler at them. Everybody telling Juan calm down. Some of them telling me to preach. Shout out to Wesley. Shout out to Wesley Berry out there in Georgia. He said, bro, they saw their co-workers in the crowds and they escorted them in.
And escorted them down. And out.
Then he said he said there are little to no requirement to become police. Facts. That's a whole other conversation.
Say that again.
He said there are little to no requirements to become police in the first place.
Yeah.
Nationalists, MAGA, Proud Boys, Bungalow Boys. He said all of them are in the police. Facts. Nate said preach. Lana said woo, fired up. A lot of folks saying preach. Lana seconding white supremacy. Lana also making it very clear. Shout out Casey in the building. She said they are ignorant. Facts. Nate told me to calm down. OCB. Look, I feel y'all.
What did Stacy say?
Stacy said, thank you all for sharing your points. Also curious, your thoughts on the lack of masks seen with Trump's people at the Capitol.
That's a good question.
Look, we know them folks don't believe in masks.
We in a pandemic, but you know, some of these people, believe it or not, and there is facts to this. A lot of lower educated people that actually don't believe that the pandemic is real. That's not even just any race. That's education period. They think it's a hoax. I don't know why. I don't know why they think people are just pulling numbers out. They think people are lying about the deaths of people dying. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird to me.
Yeah.
It's a real pandemic, guys. It's real.
There's a lot. I think what I'm interested in from y'all, like just hearing everybody's dialogue, is what I think is interesting is that when we get into these spaces, right, especially when and Juan, you know what I'm saying, like whenever you cook, bro, when you cook, I'm gonna let you cook. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm interested in y'all's thoughts on is what is our response? You know what I'm saying? Like so we can spend your nitty-gritty hour talking about the fact that we're mad and justifying our anger, but then my question becomes, then what should our response be? You know what I mean? There was a fault, there was a failure, there was any other type of adjective that you want to use. The country failed on Wednesday. As an entire country, it failed. Right? And you can tell a lot about a person in the way that they respond to a failure. And so my question becomes, what or in your opinion, because certainly you all are not the mayors of African Americans, but
when Joe and them get in, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna read a comment. While you guys are writing comments, I want you guys to answer Paul's question. What do you think is the next step? Because that kind of goes into the second half of this hour and what we want to talk about. I'm going to read a comment and then I want to make some note points that I had to bring up. So Wesley Berry said Trump and Republicans politicized masks. Facts.
Right.
Wearing a mask became a political statement.
Right.
The stupidest thing imaginable.
Right.
And so many things have become political statements, and not a matter of what's best for Americans. Something I want to talk about real quick as you guys are answering that question for us. Once again, what do you think is the next step? How do we move forward? Because this is technically what the second half of this show or this hour is going to be about. But gotta mention Trump allies turning away as you guys are coming up with those answers. Mitch McConnell thought this was an attack on democracy. He can't even support Trump anymore. Mike Pence, his vice president, said he had enough. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, senator. I still can't stand them. Same thing for Mitch and Mike. But Lindsey Graham said he wanted out of the Trump show. This was somebody on Wednesday who had planned to speak against the affirmation of Biden as our new president-elect, right? Also, multiple cabinet members have resigned. We know Betsy DeVos of Education, Mike Pompeo, many have resigned from their seats, right? To me, I say it's too little too late. He attacked our judicial process when he used personal money to incriminate 5 young boys falsely convicted of rape in Manhattan.
That's facts.
Right?
That's facts.
He attacked our democracy when he accused Obama of not being a natural-born citizen. Also, when he denied Russian involvement in the 2016 election, even after our very own intelligence agency said it had happened. Right? So this is the kind of person we've been dealing with. And it leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth. America made a whole donkey and monkey of itself.
That's exactly right.
Like literally monkeys. They climb.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And now it's like, well, man, where do we go from here? Right? Yeah. Because we know Joe and Kamala have a lot to accomplish. And a lot of people are going to give them a very strict report card. Right? Because there's so much promise in an executive branch controlled Democrat. We have a Senate that's half and half, but Kamala becomes the tiebreaker as the vice president. So now we have a Senate controlled by Democrats. And now we also have a we've always had, but still have a Democrat-controlled Congress. So it's like, at this point, there should be no excuse on the process forward, right? And I'm curious to see what you guys still think about how do we move forward. But I want to start with the first conversation, because this is something that's been promised. What do we do about student debt relief?
Listen here unto me. I want to make myself very clear. Now, again, I try to be very careful about what I feel. I'm less about party agenda and more about Thompson family agenda.
That's how we are.
Because I do
what's
not.
Good for the DeCostas?
Yeah, there has not been, nor will there be, a party that is going to be able to stand completely for what the Thompsons stand for, right? So I am less interested in who runs the House and Senate. The Democrat, and that's great, and it matters. It does matter. I'm not trying to say it doesn't matter.
No, I hear you.
But for me and my house, right, what I am more interested in is the two of you, your viewers, and this community that is being built, right? If we do this right, you know what I'm saying? If we do this the correct way, that matters less. And in my opinion, they have to now come here to get their answers, which is the way it should be by design. Does that make sense, or am I talking out the side of my head? I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. It's a government ran by the people. And the thing is, one thing that the Nitty Gritty Show is here to help contribute is educating people on how do we get things done. So if we're talking, and I'm going to read your comment, Mamie, if we're talking about student debt relief and how we move forward and how we can contribute towards that, well, here's some quick facts.
Let's go.
We know Biden is asking the Congress to pass $10,000 in student loan relief. We know Pelosi and Sanders have said as high as $50,000. But let's talk about facts. The average American student loan debt, the average nationally, is $30,000. So if you only take away $10,000, well, how much does that really help, right? And then Katrina brings up a good point all the time, and she says that we should at least, if we can't find a dollar amount that we agree on, we should at least get rid of the interest. Because if you think about it, some people only have $40,000 of student loan debt, but by the time the interest kicks in, there are people now $80,000, $90,000 in student loan debt.
Yeah.
So I agree with Katrina, even if you can't give away $30,000, $50,000, $10,000, what can we do to help people out by maybe just getting rid of the interest and accumulated interest? Just say, you know what, we don't care about the dollar amount, because whatever accumulated interest you had from, you got to have a cutoff date.
Right.
Starting with 2010. We're going to forgive all of that, and we're not going to continue to allow the interest to go up. We're just going to leave it there.
I think it would be a win-win, because now the government is getting back exactly what you borrowed.
That's right.
So we're still being held accountable.
That's right.
But now we don't have to feel burdened like, oh my God, because I feel like I'm drowning in student loan debt. Like, dang, I got to pay how much? Like, I didn't even take out that much. And so I think that that would be the easiest solution versus an actual dollar amount, because now you take away the interest, it might cut off $10,000 for you, but now it might cut off $50,000 for somebody that's $200,000 in debt, and everybody's happy.
Right.
And it's proportionate to everybody's own circumstance, right?
It's a dangerous place to be, to have a people that is in that much debt to their government.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is dangerous.
That's scary.
It's a dangerous position to be in.
Because now they can restrict how you travel. You know, you can't have a passport.
Take away your tax.
Take away your taxes. That affects how you feed your family.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the essence of what this show tries to talk about, which is how do we affect people.
Let's go.
Right? I got 2 comments from our Facebook audience. Shout out to Maybe Altar. She said, this country needs to repent from its wicked ways. Come on, mama of the church. She said this country needs to repent from its wicked ways so our land can be healed by doing what's right towards all those who live in this country. Preach, sister.
John the Baptist.
Wesley Berry said, what is the next step? Black people are really good at observing and watching what happens next. Like how I am waiting to see if the COVID vaccine causes the zombie apocalypse. Come on with it. He said, we watch how American Fed responds to the raid on the Capitol. If the Fed does not do enough, it will happen again. POC in the world will see that this country chooses to indulge in its radical right-wing extremists. Watch how the feds respond first, then we will have a clear understanding on what needs to be the next move. So pretty wordy here. No, but I agree with you. Sometimes it helps to kind of sit back and observe somewhat what happens.
I know what the response is. What the black people response is to put pressure on the Democratic Party
to do all the stuff you trash about.
Exactly. That is our response. That is what we need to be doing. We need to be putting pressure, and that means, and when I say put pressure, I'm talking about on all levels of government. That means calling your local, calling your state, making sure the federal got it, writing letters to the Attorney General, putting pressure on them, so that way they're like, dang, we gotta do something for these Negroes because they keep calling us. You darn Skippy. And in the event that they don't honor the things that they say, we need to make it very clear that we are no longer standing by with the Democrats. And then at that point, now we can try to even talk to the Republicans, because the reality is you can control either party based upon if they say they're going to do your interest. And I feel like up until this moment, we have never put the pressure on any party to really honor us.
And we need to put the pressure on both parties, not just one. Because then that's an imbalance. And then that imbalance causes one to placate us, meaning they can line dance. Because here's the thing. I'm happy Joe and Kamala won. But Joe knows how the system works.
That's right.
He can say a lot and then underdeliver.
That's right.
And then speak to why he had to underdeliver.
Right.
And then let's be honest. I love Kamala, HBCU grad, AKA, she your sister. She can line dance.
Right.
Tamika Mallory made a good point. We gotta watch that sister because you know what? She can line dance real good. You know what I'm saying? She know how to do a shake. She know how to electric slide. And some people get so caught up in what something looks like. Oh, she down. She for real black. I don't care about that. What law will you pass? What legislation?
I think that we have this is so near and dear to my heart. Because I feel like we have allowed one party to completely ignore us. And one party to completely take us for granted. But what happens in the middle is, so the Trump campaign spent so much money in Hispanic in the Hispanic demographic. They spent it was deliberate what they did in the Hispanic. There is no way in the world that a demographic of people as powerful as we are should allow ourselves to be ignored or taken for granted. And I think what I love about what you all are saying is that what do we do next? We add the accountability piece. You're not going to win an election based on our votes. Right? And then completely ignore us going forward. So I was all for, listen, let's get them out. Let's do what we got to do. But now
that you're here,
there are things, and it's not asking anymore. We've asked for far too long.
Agreed.
There are demands that need to be met. And what you said, Katrina and Juan, is so necessary, because here's the thing. There's a way that you carry yourself when you understand your power. There's a way that you conduct yourself when you know that you're valuable. And it is important for us as a people to carry ourselves in that way, to walk in that way, to understand that there's value here with us as a people, and then pivot that into the power that we demand. We're no longer asking you to do certain things for us. We're no longer just like you saying, well, it's like we used to sit back and say, okay, well. Hopefully the Democratic Party do right by us. No,
you better do right by us.
Not anymore.
What is the consequence going and trying to side and trying to convince the Republicans to do right, or is the consequence saying, you know what, more of us need to start running and controlling?
So
is that the consequence? Because I do think that it's too many of us who are out here about this. Get money, get an LLC, be a business owner. But the reality is you can't benefit as a business owner if you're not the one controlling the law. So we need more of us involved in politics to be able to have a seat at the table, to be able to argue when they have these little sessions to say, well, you know, what about this? What about black people? There's not enough of us at the table to even get people to even conceptualize why it might harm the black community.
So this is the strategy, and this is a proven thing. Obama tried to get people to understand this about political strategy and how you need a coalition of voters. And so many people got upset with him because what he said about defund the police, but there has to be strategy. One part of that strategy, this is piggybacking off of what Katrina said to give you guys a pointed place to go.
Let's go.
Is when we talk to the Democratic Party, it's not just showing up at the polls, but it's showing up at those community meetings. It's actually writing that letter to your state representative or your congressman, depending on what level of government we need the exact change.
So
and then,
tell them, I'm sorry to cut you off, but then that would require people maybe not having free time or going to the liquor store on Friday. Or spending as much time, Monday Night Football. It might require you to invest your free time into, the greater cause. And I think that the question is, we can put pressure on the Democratic Party, but then there's also some responsibility on us in how are you, yes, inconvenient, but you have to take yourself out of it and realize I'm doing this for the greater good, and unfortunately, we're just too selfish.
See, but success never happens to you by accident.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the world that is ever going to happen to you to which you're going to be successful that is going to happen to you by accident. Success is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. Right? That where the two of those meet is where you find success. There's a podcast I listen to, and I very seldom do this on live air, but there's this podcast I listen to from the New York Times called Nice White Parents. And what it walked us through was the power of a white parent in the biggest school system in the country, in New York City.
Oh, really?
Right?
Wow.
And it walks you through the whole thing. But it's a great listen. But one of the things that they discussed was I believe it was the 1970s, y'all, and I'm sure y'all have educated listeners who will correct if I'm wrong. But parents, particularly in New York City, in black and impoverished neighborhoods, were finding that the children in white neighborhoods were getting a better education, right? So what they did in this community was, rather than try to send their kids to the better schools, what they did was they improved their own schools. They took their children and the community backed children to go to college, to get degrees. Those children came back to teach their own community. And instead of going to white people and saying, hey, we want your education, they said, no, we don't need y'all. Y'all do that, that's fine. We're going to teach our own, and we're going to build our own. We're going to send our own to Harvard. We're going to send our own to Princeton. Matter of fact, and then the second generation of that, they said, we're going to send our children to Howard. We're going to send our children to Hampton. And we're going to pour that money into those schools. And what I'm suggesting we do is something similar. You're not going to do right by me, that's fine. Just like what Tyler Perry said, and they made fun of him for it. Many people made fun of him for it. He's like, y'all can worry about a seat at the table. I'll be in Atlanta building my own.
He did say that.
You know what I'm saying? And the sentiment I agree with. We need to worry about our own table. We need to build our own tables. We need to build our own banks. We need to build our own schools. We need to build our own colleges. We need to build our own factories. We need to worry about our own and stop always looking. Now there's time to look too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's the system in which we live. So we got to learn how to play where we live. But when I say I'm uninterested in okay, I get it. I know how that sounds. I'm uninterested in the Democratic Party or Republican Party. I understand how that sounds. But what I mean by that is I'm interested in us taking care of us. I'm interested in us investing in us. And when we begin to do that, how do we do that? Every place I go, even if I can't tune in every Sunday, I'm talking about the Nitty Gritty Show. Not just because I like y'all, but because I believe in your mission. And there's something happening here that they need. That we need. Your voices are important. And I never want y'all to, I didn't mean to go down this route, but I never want y'all to underestimate how important your voices are and what you're doing. Y'all just talked about education. What is the job, what do we want to do here at the Nitty Gritty Show? We want to educate people. That's necessary. Because other than that, people are running around going, looking at Instagram going, she got hot sauce in her bag, I'm gonna vote for her. You know, she's an AKA, I'm gonna vote for her. Well, y'all saying, but no, there's these other pieces, people, that we need to be educated on.
And I want to chime in on that too. Actually, before I chime in real quick, Stacey Lynn said pressure to the local politicians too is so much that can be done and the local level to affect change. And I'm going to go into that too before this show is over.
Yeah.
So some quick rants real quick. I read that one already.
Okay.
So number one is, because I agree with Paul, and Killer Mike kind of echoes a lot of the same sentiment
He does.
about how we have to build our own community, and that's part of it. But you know what? Something that they do in Bethesda, Maryland, something that they do in Brentwood, Tennessee, something that they do in Malibu, California, or in Manhattan, New York. Those people build their own, but you know what they also do? They take interest in their community.
Come on, sir.
So what happens when you take interest in your community, it's not about being aligned to a party
Walk through this one.
or aligned to, Democrat, Republican. It's about, do you handle the interest of my community, right? So these people understand how community works. And I had this long list of things, but we don't have time for that. But they understand how government works. They know that at the national level, meaning what Kamala, what Joe, what the Senate and the Congress can do for them is, you guys can do something about taxes, you can do something about the national pandemic response, you can repair foreign relationships, you can handle legal things such as immigration, legalizing marijuana, establishing bias training in the federal workplace again, oversight to the criminal justice. They understand what they can do for taxes, right? But then they also understand the point of what local level politics can do. They know that if I'm going to do something about my school system, I don't need to be harassing Joe and Kamala about it.
That's right.
Or my congressman.
Sir.
I need to know who my state representative is, right? Because he at the state level can get funding from Maryland to your county. But then it don't stop there. You have to then engage your mayor or your county executive, depending on what state you're in, if you have cities or counties that lead you from a local municipality. Because then they are the ones that can do something about community reform, right? You need to write your councilman who handles you at the county level or the city level. And then even when it comes to police reform, that's not going to happen.
That's right.
With Joe and Kamala.
That's right.
That's going to happen with your mayor, your commissioner, your sheriff, and your judges, who, by the way, folks, are all elected officials. Don't matter if they're Republican or they're Democrat. The second they step in this seat, they have a duty to serve you. They don't rule over you.
That's right.
They are not your leaders. They are actually servants.
Yes,
of the public. And they're servants of you, whether you voted for them or not. And because they're servants of you, it don't matter if you didn't vote for them if you don't like them. You march down to that office,
yes, sir,
and you tell them, hey, my streets look bad.
That's right.
My schools are insufficient of getting my child to the potential of what he wants to do. We have to start understanding the strategy. And while we're telling them what you're going to do for me because I pay taxes,
that's right,
I'm still going to go out and create my business, and I'm going to spend my dollars in my community.
There we go.
I'm still going to go encourage the best basketball players. Well, go sign at Howard. Go sign over there at Norfolk. Go sign at TSU. Go sign at Hampton. Right? Let's start pulling all that talent that we've created. Oh, you don't want me to be a majority leader or own a team? All right, what happens if we pull all the talent away and we create our own league? Big three.
This is talk, sir. Right? That's beginning, middle, and end.
So these are the things I think we need to start considering as far as the strategy. And we have to educate ourselves on how we do this. One thing, because we got to get ready to start wrapping up. We're about to run out of time.
I have one question for you.
Go ahead.
The question is, we talk about strategy, and this is great. But historically, our people are moved on emotion versus strategy. How do we get people to leave the emotion behind and start thinking very black and white to make decisions for us?
I'll let you go first, Paul.
To stop seeing, say that again, I'm sorry.
How do we get our people to stop being so emotionally driven? Like Trayvon Martin, oh, Black Lives Matter, yada, yada, yada. Oh, it's almost like...
And you fall short of actually executing what needs to be done.
How do we get us to start thinking more about, all right, take the emotion out of it. How do I start to think about black and white, making decisions for me, and then doing it every single day with follow through versus I'm only going down to the courthouse today because it's hot on the street, but then I haven't followed up in 200 days because, well, you know, life got busy.
Yeah. I think you have to allow because with that emotion is the humanity piece, and I think you always have to allow for humanity. Humanity is always going to be, but what I think it's like I tell people when I talk about the love I have for my wife, I never have to worry about my wife's loyalty because I've given her consistency. You know what I mean? If I give her consistency, I don't have to worry about the other man. What I think, and it's the hard thing because again we're emotional people, but it can be being excellent and teaching consistently. Like I have a friend of mine who wants to start a podcast. 2 seconds. Wants to start a podcast. How do I start it? You go. and you go. And you are there every week. If 2 people show up, if 2 million people show up, you are there. You are. Don't think on such a grand scale. I need to have 2 million people. No, you just need to have the right one to hear you on the right day at the right time. And so when I think about, again, I bring it back to the Nitty Gritty show. What you all are doing consistently, week in and week out, whether y'all have 66 people or 66 million. The consistency piece is what's somebody is going to hear. I promise you, there is somebody right now who heard y'all, I promise you, who heard y'all, that is going to walk away from that thinking differently. There are people that's going to watch us right now. They're going to think about their situation differently. They're going to go talk to somebody else. They're going to talk to somebody else. You don't, sometimes you get to be the ripple, sometimes you get to be the stone. And so I just think if being consistent and knowing that humanity is going to humanity, it's going to happen. You're going to, okay, y'all did such a great job when we were talking about like the way y'all handled the protests in 2020, I thought was excellent. Y'all were here, y'all talked about it, y'all continued to ring that bell. All right, now, listen, this is going to end, right? What do we do after? This is what's going to end. And y'all continue to educate. But that's your job. And so this is what the job that y'all have taken on. So that would be my thing. You allow for the humanity, but you consistently give the information. Somebody's going to get it, somebody's going to learn, and the ripple effect will go from there.
And I can't agree with Paul anymore. I think what we want to take from here, basically, especially you're going to see a lot of this in the Nitty Gritty show, a lot of pointed programming. We want to really educate. We want to talk about stuff like taxes. That was actually going to be the show today, but then Wednesday happened, right? So we had to educate people on what's going on and why are black people responding this way and why are we upset, and what's the real issue, like from a national security standpoint and all that, of what happened at the White House. And we're going to continue to push the message out. And as you get the information and you receive it, like Paul said, you have to act on it at some point and get out there. Because living on social media is not enough. I mean, it's cool and it gets the information out. But if we don't go out and actually vote, right, and if we don't go out and actually try to build our communities and lift up other people, then really everything we do here is for naught, right? So we have to do that. Let me read one last comment, and then we're going to go into some quick announcements, and we're going to close y'all out. Wesley Berry said, every demographic in America, their money circulates in their community several times before it goes out. That is a fact. In fact, he said even African and Jamaican money recirculates several times over. The African American dollar does not recirculate through its own business before it leaves. Literally, it hits our paychecks and it goes straight out to support other business. And we rarely support our own. We need to do something about that. Brother, I can't agree with you more, Wesley. Right. I appreciate those words. Right. Once again, got to pay some bills. Shout out to Out of Control Bullies. They're our sponsors for the month of January. You can go find them at Outa Control Bullies. That's OUTTA Control Bullies on Facebook or Instagram. Go holler at them for a shirt. Go holler at them to get yourself a bully pick, because there's some beautiful dogs. If I could deal with dogs, I would get one myself. And if you didn't have the allergy, I think we would have one, possibly. But I just don't like animals. But y'all need to go holler at them to get one. Mamie said, action speaks louder than words. Got some quick shout outs. While we got the shout out, I'm going to play some Jasmine Sullivan from her new project, Heaux Tales. This is a song called Pick Up Your Feelings. I'm going to let this.
And that's what we're going to say to the Trump supporters.
Pick up your feelings.
Pick up your feelings.
Keep it moving. So some quick shout outs. Got some Founders Day shout outs. I should have just said Happy Founders Day in general to all the January babies. But we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna give you an individual call out. So happy Founders Day to the men of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. That was January 5th. Shout out to the men of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. That was January 9th. Shout out Sven Wereru. He's on the show often. He's a member. And shout out to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. That's coming up January 13th. All right. So, and then next week, we know we got some more. We didn't forget about y'all. We're going to shout y'all out. Also, we got some birthdays. Gotta shout out to the #1 birthday of the month. Well, actually, there's 2 really important birthdays this month. But today is Mamie Altar birthday.
We should give
my mama.
We should have Paul sing one line.
Oh, you know what, Paul? Can you bless us with a quick happy birthday for my mama?
I most certainly can.
Okay.
No, let me turn Jasmine down. Jasmine, you cool. But it's my mama's birthday today. She's 26. Y'all heard me say she was 26, y'all.
She look a good happy birthday sticker.
Look, Paul, if you can just bless the room real quick.
My God.
Yeah, a little quick happy birthday for Mamie. And then we're going to let this somewhat count for the other birthdays. We're going to say y'all names in a second. But a quick happy birthday for Mamie Altar, if you don't mind.
Goodness. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Man, do that. Happy birthday, mama.
All right, but not even there.
Yeah. When you hear what that falls
That's when you start too high.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I love it. So happy birthday, mama. Also, shout out to Shekinah Ellis, Felicia Walker, Vanek White, that's my cousin. Shout out to Larry Green, who's also a part of Out of Control Bullies. Shout out Julia Ford. And shout out Brian Majors. Nate says same. Okay. Yeah, he did that. Everyone I think really enjoyed that. I think I'm gonna have to clip that. You know what I'm gonna have to clip that joint real quick. You know what I'm saying? This week. That's gonna be our official birthday.
We gonna play it like Donkey of the Day, right?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
The same way the Hamiltons do the Donkey of the Day.
There you go.
Gonna be our birthday today. I'm gonna like, that. We're gonna put that Paul
Yes.
Yeah, happy birthday. Look, once again, y'all, thank you so much for being with us today. We can't make this thing happen without your involvement. And you know, we're coming back really strong for 2021. We got some great content coming. In February, we're gonna have a special episode called the Rep Your City episode.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about black culture from city to city.
Wow.
So make sure you tell a friend, 'cause that show gonna be lit. Alright? But look, Paul, once again, thank you for coming, brother.
Thank y'all for having me.
We always happy to have you.
Shout your handles out.
Yeah, shout your handles out.
Yeah, y'all can find me on Instagram at good_2b_Paul. And listen, I appreciate anytime y'all allow me on. I've been a fan for a long time, and anytime I get to kick it with them, it's fun, man.
And then talking about the love seat. Don't forget the love seat.
You can find my wife and I are the proud leaders of the Carolina Missionary Baptist Church Couples Ministry. It is the Love Seat, happens the second Saturday of every single month. Follow us on Instagram, the Love Seat CMBC.
That's what's up. So yeah, once again, Paul, happy to have you. And then you guys have seen Paul before because he's been on the soapbox. Talking about relationships. Yeah, the men's panel. So we're gonna be doing more with that this year. Look, it's your boy Jay DaCosta.
It is your girl Katniss.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. Look, y'all, we out. So happy that you joined us today. You can go back to your Sunday. We'll see you next Sunday. We out of here. Peace. Alright, we out of here. Close this out.
I love the soul of her.
Yo.